Hello everyone, this is Talk from the Lads, and today I'm going to be doing a solo review of X-Men Apocalypse. I just literally got home after seeing it. Heads up, this is going to be a spoiler-laden review. So yeah, you've been warned. Now, gotta say, wasn't really looking forward to this movie going into it, or not so much looking forward to it, but didn't have too many expectations. It was like, yeah, it was on the radar, I knew it was coming, but wasn't as excited for this as I was for, say, Batman v Superman or Captain America Civil War sort of thing. It was like, yeah, just slid in there. Didn't go to the midnight launch like I had with the others and that sort of thing. But I gotta say, mildly actually surprised. Like I heard really mixed reviews going in. One review did mention that the pacing of the movie was a little bit all over the place, and I have to say it was kind of right with that. There were moments where like I was just sitting there like wanting more of the action sequences to come. Instead, they kept like I know the story is really detrimental to it and that sort of thing, but like I don't know, it just seemed to break up the pace of where the movie was going. Uh, yeah, Apocalypse himself, like I know the image going around isn't really that like the one from the comic books. Like I know that like they keep most of it like pretty kosher, I guess would be the word. I don't know. Like Psylocke looked pretty amazing. Like holy shit, wow. Storm, holy crap, they really nailed her. Like her appearance, like the movie was set in the 80s, and like the image of her was directly from the 80s. She had the mohawk going. It was actually really, really cool to see her do that. Um, Archangel, I feel like I don't know, there's something about Angel that they haven't really captured really well in the movies thus far. Like in X-Men 3, I feel like his character was really, really weak and really poorly portrayed. And again in this, like they seem to kind of, I don't know, they missed the mark with him. Like I feel like Warren Worthington, like they could do a lot better with that character. Like he does have such a rich history. Like he was one of the original X-Men for crying out loud from the comic books, and yeah, they seem to keep hitting the mark with that one. Um, but yeah, who else did we see pop up in this that was new? The new version of Cyclops and Jean Grey, pretty impressive actually. Like they pretty much nailed Cyclops' introduction. Like one of the stories I remember from like actually watching the animated cartoons way back in the 90s. Like that's how I actually got into like most of the comics and stuff that I know. One of the stories that like kept getting mentioned was like Scott Summers blowing a hole in this roof of his school, which like he pretty much did in this movie. Like it was pretty well done. Um, like his character, like he had that sort of I don't know, like a bit of an arrogance to him, like you would expect from a teenager. And there was some pretty cool scenes where like a group of them, like Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler, and Jubilee. Surprisingly, like even though they didn't really give her too much screen time, like you knew it was her. Like they went off in one of the professor's cars and they went shopping and went to see Star Wars, and like that was actually kind of cool. Like that's something that you do see in like the original series of comics, is them going for a joyride and having a day out sort of thing. So it was kind of nice to see that pop up into the movie. Um, Quicksilver, like that kid's performance is hilarious. Like he is like, even though like there's a lot of comedy going on, he is the comic relief again. They did the whole slow motion fast speed thing that they did in Days of Future Past again with Quicksilver. I don't know, I feel like the original one of that was better than this one. Like it was still pretty cool to see like him doing his thing, while everything slowly exploded around him, quite literally. Um, but yeah, like his character was still pretty interesting. I know one thing that I keep seeing as well is that there is a character that's missing. I feel like Wanda should have popped up. Like they pretty much show her for a split, or like yeah, they show her watching the TV in Days of Future Past, and so you know that Wanda is there. You know that she's a part of that world, but you still haven't seen her. Like they didn't even mention her in this one. Um, I guess one of the other cool things, for me at least, from a fan perspective, would be the rich amount of cameo appearances of X-Men or other mutants in the actual movie crop up. Like I said, Jubilee's there. She has quite a lot of on screen. There's also like the really brief sort of cameo appearances. So like the Blob, for example, he crops up in a fight sequence, or rather, he gets his ass kicked by Angel before he turns into Archangel in like this arena match sort of thing. So like it's clearly the Blob, which is kind of cool. Like one of those characters that always seems to be made poked fun of. And then we have the introduction of the Morlocks, which is an underground, like literally underground mutant movement. They literally live in the sewers underneath New York City. And yeah, Mystique goes and takes Kurt Wagner there to try and get him a passport made. And yeah, you see Caliban, who's from the comic books as well. And it's kind of interesting that they're bringing them into the universe. It's like one of those really sort of, I don't know, not really mainstream series of comics. Even though Leech, I think, from X-Men 3 was originally a Morlock, so I guess you could say they've brought them in before, but the other cool thing was that they actually made fun of X-Men 3. Like I said before, when they went to, like, shopping into the cinemas and they saw Star Wars, they actually poke fun at like how the third movie is always not that great. So Bryan Singer clearly recognizing how bad X-Men 3 actually was without him on board. Yes, of course. The appearance of Mr. William Stryker popping up yet again seems to plague this whole universe of X-Men movies. You can recognize him easily from Days of Future Past when Mystique was rescuing all the mutants from that internment camp sort of place. I think it was like right at the start of the movie. He pops up again. Like she immediately recognizes who he is, and for anyone that's watched the previous movies recently, like will instantly recognize him as well. And he takes them back to the very, very recognizable facility from X-Men Wolverine Origins and X-Men 2, where the Weapon X project is developed. And Weapon X, hey, guess who shows up? I'm pretty sure everyone knows at this point that Wolverine does make an appearance, and holy shit, what an appearance. Holy shit, like I even said, like when they were in the facility, like I leant over to my mate and I was like, sneak, sneak, motherfucker. And yeah, lo and behold, the Beast appears, and Weapon X unfucking leashes. Not as gory as what we'd hope to see, especially with the popularity of Deadpool and the R rating. But yeah, like, his small cameo, I guess you could call it, doesn't even speak a line of dialogue. He just goes nuts and does what Wolverine does best, and unleashes. And the end credit scene, yes, there is an end credit scene, so make sure you do stick around until the end of the credits. Kind of, I guess, suggests what they're going to lead into with his final story, which really, really get to see. Like, there's been images popping up online that I've noticed, even though I'm trying to still stay away from like trailers and spoilers and stuff. Really, really hard with today's social media. Like, there's an image of like the actual Wolverine uniform, and like I'm really excited to finally see that on screen. Like, I think that's one of the things that we've really been missing from the cinematic universe is Wolverine in his tidy yellow spandex outfit. It's gonna be amazing to see. Or like I think this one's gonna be the brown yellow version. But anyway, overall I'd say like this is definitely up there with some of my favorite X-Men movies. Days of Future Past is still like a pretty top contender, but this one I'd say probably very, very close to that. Um, yeah, like probably give it a good 7.5 out of 10. It's not as great as say Marvel Civil War, but it still does well in its own right. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out and seeing it. Alright guys, that's enough from me. We'll hopefully have another episode up soon with the full lad contingency. Yeah, got you then.
bye 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 bye